Hello, friends. This is a recording of my presentation that I've been doing all summer for my itineration, kind of going church to church. And I decided at the request of some churches that I would go ahead and make this recording so that it can be available for small groups and things like that. It's not ideal that I'm not with you right now. However, I am available at my website, which is postmodernmissionary.com, and I will put that at the very end as well, so you can find me there. But as we get started, I just want to say thank you for lending your ear, and thank you for being with me today. I am currently, as I record, in Texas at my sister's home, where I've been kind of sheltering in place and also doing my travel from church to church. But I travel back on August the 22nd to Sierra Leone. So probably by the time you guys are seeing this, I will be back home in Salone and doing my work at the university. So let me tell you a little bit about myself, and we'll get going there. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This is new to me. I'm recording and doing this to no one, so it feels a little strange. So I'll ask for your grace as we get going. But I'm going to share my screen to give you some visuals of my life in mission and ministry. So here we are. Okay, so my name is Reverend Katie Meek. I am a missionary in Sierra Leone. I am a global missionary through the General Board of Global Ministries. And if you're familiar with that, there's my advance number. That advance number kind of follows me wherever I go. If you want to support me, that's the number that you'll do it through. And I can give you more information about that at the end. But I serve as a lecturer at the Bishop Venner School of Theology, United Methodist University in Freetown, Sierra Leone. So let's talk a little bit about me. I am a Texan. I'm born and raised Texan. I lived in Texas until I moved to Sierra Leone, actually, ordained in the Central Texas Conference. I pastored churches for 10 years before I became a missionary. I've been in ministry for 20 years, since I was 18, and became a missionary in 2017. And my favorite things include preaching and teaching. That's really it. I like to listen to and also produce and record podcasts. I love the ant life and blueberries and queso, neither of which, unfortunately, you can get in Sierra Leone. So something of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is a West African country, population of 2.7 million. It's about the size of South Carolina, so like Texas is 9 times the size of Sierra Leone. The capital is Freetown, which is a city that was established as a return post for freed former enslaved people. It borders Guinea and Liberia. Life expectancy is 52 years, and it is known for its beautiful beaches. And this is something of what Sierra Leone looks like to me. As you can see, it's a very vibrant, colorful, busy place. We love to sit around in circles and eat, often from the same cup. And then also, I just took these on a couple of walks in my hometown of Freetown. But really, what I love Sierra Leone for is its spirit. You know, when I got back to Texas after my first 6 months in Sierra Leone for a visit, I came to church and was like, why aren't we dancing? Dancing's so much more fun. So this is my school. I work at the United Methodist University Bishop Wiener School of Theology, established in 2017 at the top of the highest peak in Freetown, Lester Peak. And so we have the best view out of, out of all of them. I serve as a lecturer. I teach Christian history, homiletics, the art of preaching, Wesleyan history and doctrine, women in ministry, history of mission, the English language, and advanced writing as well. And this is what my life as a teacher, lecturer looks like. We have two main programs at the school. The first program is a bachelor's of theology, bachelor's degree. And our second program is a certificate program for a certificate in chaplaincy. Our goal is to place a trained chaplain in every single one of the more than 400 United Methodist elementary, middle, and high schools across the country of Sierra Leone. One thing you'll notice is most of my students are men. However, that does not really take into account how important the role of women is there in the leadership of the church and of the society. And you'll notice this is our latest class who just joined us this last year. And we actually have 3 women. One woman's not represented here, but 3 women who have joined us. So we're moving in that direction and really excited about that. I'm going to stop sharing just really quickly so you can see my face as we talk a little bit about the work of the university and what my actual work is. Actually, before we get there, I want to talk about some of the challenges that we face in Sierra Leone. And there's 3 main challenges that we face. I mean, Sierra Leone is a place that has suffered greatly over the course of the last century or so. However, I want to talk about 3 of the main challenges that we face as a university, as a community, and then how the university is working to combat those challenges. So the first challenge is disempowerment. Sierra Leone was colonized by the English, and it gained independence in 1961. And one of the effects of colonization is disempowerment. So what happens is a new culture comes in that considers itself more advanced than the people that they're coming to colonize. And the people who are colonized themselves slowly start to take on that mindset. They start to believe that they fundamentally are not as advanced or capable as their colonizer. So over generations, people start to believe that they do not have the resources to determine their own fate or make things better for themselves or their people. And I saw this early on as I just called it a confidence issue. You know, I've watched people make really big plans only to just sabotage themselves right before those plans come to fruition. So that's the first one, disempowerment. The second one is corruption. So another effect of colonization is corruption. When they became independent in Sierra Leone, they were handed a system of government that did not take into account the cultural realities on the ground or the historic wisdom of the people there. And that created the conditions for corruption almost in all sectors from top to bottom. Even in the schools, from elementary to university, there are many teachers, for example, who give out grades for pay. Which is a terrible thing, but they do that because many of them are being paid something like $50 per month if they get paid at all. And that's because of government corruption that just kind of trickles down. So first is disempowerment, second is corruption, and third is a generation of children whose education was disrupted because of the Blood Diamond conflict. I'm going to say that again. There was a generation of children whose education was disrupted because of the Blood Diamond conflict. So in the early 90s, you probably heard about this. The conditions were so bad that a group of armed bandits essentially took over the diamond mines and started terrorizing the entire country. And it started way out in the provinces, and then it made its way into the capital city, Freetown. And they burned down villages. They forced children to kill their own parents and then recruited those children into their army. Unspeakable things happened. My friend in Freetown told me that he was a teenager when the RUF, the rebel army, came to Freetown, and they spent a year hiding out in their house. He lost an entire year of school. And the children out in the provinces endured that for more than a decade. So Sierra Leone lost a generation to little or no education, especially out in the villages, out in the provinces. And now we're seeing the effects of that. In 2019, just last year, 95% of the children, the high school seniors who took their high school exit exams, failed. 95% failure rate, which means that 5% of graduating seniors are eligible for university in the entire country. So those are the things that we're dealing with. Number one, disempowerment. Number two, corruption. And number three, a generation whose education was disrupted because of the Blood Diamond conflict. So in 2017, Bishop John K. Yambasu had a long time dream, and it came true into being, and the United Methodist University was born. And it started in 2017, like I said, with the Bishop Venner School of Theology, which is where I teach. We opened a preparatory college last fall to help the students who hadn't passed to actually pass their exams and get into university. And then just this last spring, we opened a school of education as well. And the university is founded on three core values: the values of excellence, integrity, and service. So we are training leaders to be empowered to fight corruption by holding fast to their integrity, to believe in their own ability to change things for the better by seeking everything that they do, by seeking excellence in everything that they do, and to lead others in the same path through service. Excellence, integrity, and service. So I'm actually going to go back to the PowerPoint so you can see some pictures of what that looks like. So the way that I see it is it is important what I teach in my classroom. I mean, I believe in a Wesleyan theology and a Wesleyan way of being in the world, followers of Christ in the world. But as important as that is, I really see my job as to show up and model these three things: excellence, integrity, and service. And so, and especially the integrity one. So that means that I work very hard on my lectures and on my presentations and on my curriculum and classroom. And my students know and see that in a way that's evident to them, that if I mess up, I own it. If I don't know something, I say it. This idea of speaking truth and living out integrity is a really important part of what we do at the university. Not just me, but also everybody on the faculty as well. And we do all that as a way of serving and helping our students to adopt these values so that then they can preach this from the pulpit. They can preach their very worth from the pulpit. Another piece of my my education of my students is I have two classroom values, guiding values that we have in my classroom. And they hear it every time that I teach. It's up on the board at the beginning of every semester. We talk through them very deeply. The first one is the details matter. Especially when you're conjugating verbs in English, but also when it comes to doing anything that you do, especially as a leader, the details matter. And number two, the world needs your voice. So that one is the big one for me. And the way that I explain that to my students is I believe that there are a lot of people who look like me who are talking. And what the world needs is more people who have their culture and their experience and their leadership and their wisdom and their call to stand up and speak, because the world needs it. And for Sierra Leone, because it's going to be Sierra Leoneans who make a difference for the future of Sierra Leone. It has to be them. And so those are the two guiding values. And I want to show you two of my students who are kind of living into that. And I want to share some of their testimonials about how that education is making a difference in their lives. So the first student is this young man. His name is Tamba Kaimbanja. The students call him the professor, or maybe sometimes the philosopher. He is a really deep thinker, a wide thinker as well. And he comes from Kono, which is in the center of the country, and it's from the Kono ethnic group, the Kono tribe. They speak Kono. And he actually comes from a little village. He was a teacher there. And before he came to our university. And it was a couple of years ago, at the end of every semester, we do a special program for to kind of cap off the semester that is specific to Sierra Leone and what they are experiencing, some of the theological questions that they have. So one year we did a series about Christ in context, how Christ is a part of every place and every culture. And so that was actually my lecture was Christ in culture. And in that lecture, we talked about how when Jesus came, he came in a particular time, in a particular place, a particular culture, a particular language, a particular political system and situation. But now through the body of Christ, Christ is actually part of every single time and place and culture, every language, every ethnicity, every race. Christ is embedded in each of our cultures and experiences. And at the end of that lecture series, Tamba stood up and he said, I think I was just always taught that my people didn't have much to offer. And but now I'm starting to see that my people, that Christ is in us too. And so I want to go home and I want to encourage them to write prayers in Kono, to sing songs in Kono, to preach in Kono, because Christ is a part of who we are and blesses that as well. And another piece of his story is just actually last February, right before I came back home because of COVID, he told me that he's planning on, when he completes this degree, moving on and getting a master's as well, partly because it's in him and he sees the way that we respond to him in the classroom. He's just so smart. But I think another piece of it is because he wants to show his people what they're capable of and model that back to them in the same way that we model these things to them as well. So we're really proud of Tamba. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And the second person I want to tell you about is Reverend Stephen Sinesee. Stephen is actually my age. He's in his late 30s, I think. And his story is he took his high school exit exams during the war. And as he was taking his exit exams, the rebel army came onto the compound, the school property, and they were just standing outside with their guns. And so all the students actually had to get off of their desks, take their tests and lay them on the floor and lay down on the floor in order to complete their high school exit exams. Now I'm going to give you one guess how well he did. He did not pass. He did not do well. And it cost a good chunk of money to be able to retake the exams, and he didn't have it. And so it took him, I think, 15 years to be able to retake his exams and actually get into university. Now, in the meantime, he started a family. He's been serving the church. He also became a driver. So it was actually a mission team that helped him to pay for his, to take his exams. Of course, he passed, and he started at our school. And he's the kind of leader behind closed doors, like to call him the bishop, because I feel sure that someday he will be. He's just that kind of leader. But it was about 2 years into their degree program. At the end of the semester, we were kind of going through closeout, things like that. And Stephen stood up and he said, when we first came here, it felt a little bit like you guys were giving us this fancy, expensive car that had all these bells and whistles and all these things. And we didn't even know how to drive the car, much less what all of it could do. And, we wondered why you would give something so fancy and nice to us. And he said, but I'm realizing that you're teaching us how to what you're doing here is you're teaching us how to drive this car, and you're giving us a vision of where it can take us. So, and it's been fun to watch him step into that education and speak it out into the world as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where Stephen goes, but he's a leader in his own right as it is now. And we're really proud of him. So I think if you're watching this, you're probably already a sponsoring church. And so I just want to say thank you for your assistance, for your support, for your prayers, for everything that you've done. But I also kind of want to share how it is that I'm a missionary and how I can be a missionary. And then a little something that I think you probably don't know. It's something that I'm really proud of as a United Methodist missionary that we don't really talk about. I don't think that we share this well enough. So this is what happens on a Sunday morning in a United Methodist church. 85%, 85 cents goes to the local church, and then a portion goes beyond. And that portion goes to pay for the boards and agencies like higher education and ministry and global ministries and things like that. And 6% goes to benevolent giving or second mile giving, which is what sponsors us missionaries. This is what it costs to support, well, to keep a missionary in the field for a year. So some of it's salary and expenses, others mission-related expenses, and then staff support, which is going to be really big as well. And 60% of this is covered by apportionments, what you just saw, what people give on Sunday mornings, and then about 8% is supported by an endowment, and the rest of the 30-something percent comes from fundraising, covenant relationships, things like that. The relationships that I have with churches like yours. And my goal annually is to raise $25,000 to support me as a missionary. This is what I've raised since I started doing this about a month and a half ago. I do expect to hit this goal by the end of the year as well. So, but this is kind of my time in country. So the goal is $25,000 a year. Now, this is the thing I really want to tell you about, that one of our values as a mission sending agency is that we send missionaries from everywhere to everywhere. And so when you give to me, it actually goes beyond me. It goes into a big pot that supports all missionaries. Because the old paradigm is that people who look like me become missionaries and they go to the global south and they bring Jesus there, right? But we as a mission agency understand, and we are United Methodist. We know that God calls all people, regardless of location, financial status, ethnicity, language, all of those things. God calls all people. And so we believe that God's calling missionaries to come from everywhere to everywhere. So this is my missionary class. I was commissioned with these other 6 people in the fall of 2017. And you wouldn't necessarily know by looking at it, but there's actually only 2 of us in the class who are Americans. The rest are from overseas. So we have 2 who are from Zimbabwe, 1 who is from Mozambique, and 2 who are from the Philippines. And so, for example, my friend Lorraine on the left side, she's from Zimbabwe. Pastors make $100 a month in Zimbabwe. So she's not going to be able to go back to Zimbabwe and raise $25,000 a year in order to cover all of the missionary expenses that we incur. And she will come here. In fact, the plan was to come to the United States. And I'd like to encourage you, especially when you see missionaries from other countries, it will do nothing but enrich your ministry and life to know and support them. But at the same time, those of us who have connections here are able sometimes to raise more so that we can live into this value as well. So when you give to me, what you're giving actually goes beyond me, which I think is a real gift to our ability to live out what I think is a really compelling and important message of the gospel. So again, I'm sorry, not with you in person. I would love to Zoom anytime, really, if you'd like. I can come and answer questions and things like that if you're interested in that, even from Sierra Leone. Though the Wi-Fi is not quite as strong over there, but it works. So if you're okay with some glitches, I would love to connect with you. But in the meantime, you can find, I have a podcast, I have a blog. You can find ways to support me as a missionary or support the United Methodist University, which is a great need as well. And all ways to find me on social media. You can find all of that at this website, which is postmodernmissionary.com. Postmodernmissionary.com. I'm going to leave that up for just a second. There's my advance number. You could screenshot it if you want. But yeah, send me an email. Let me know you saw this, and schedule me for a time to come for 20 minutes or something like that. I can answer questions. I can tell you an update, how things are going and things like that. I will say on a personal note, I'm recording this on the 19th of August. On the 16th of August, the bishop who started our university had an accident, and fatal accident, died. And so we're all reeling. You can see it. So we covet your prayers for that as well. And we know that God will continue to work in and through us. I'm sorry. I just know he was a great man of God. And I'm really proud to continue his legacy. And so that's not the best way to end this, but it's true. So I want to say thank you again for your support. And I know that there is a joyful future for the university, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it. So thank you. God bless you.